Hey there, guys. So today, while driving, I was going to sort of mention a few things. I see a lot of people out there on the forums, social media, the groups and all this, you'd say. They constantly ask questions about which machine is better, other thoughts about the machines, all this and that. As far as I've been out, I wouldn't say one machine is just like you gotta have this one or you'll just be unhappy, or such as that. Now, a lot of people have better luck one way than the other ways, and obviously some things people will go out there and beat on these machines. Some people go out there and just cruise them. Some people, the water holes, mud holes, whatever you want to call them, everybody hits those. So obviously they're not all treated the same. Another thing is they're all not, per se the same quality. Not everything's made perfect, from parts and pieces. But one of the things I think people don't consider is, your dealership availability. And by that I don't mean you just go to the dealership and get a new one. I mean like how easy it is to get to your dealer, as far as is it close, is it far. The quality of your dealer, of whatever brand you own, is another factor. As you all know, or will know, I guess at this point, I have a Can-Am X3 XRS 2019. I have a Yamaha Rhino 2006 660. My brother-in-law has a 2019, I believe, 4-seater 1000 XP. Before my X3, I had a 2015 900S Razor. And man, a lot of people dog their Razors, or I guess you would say Polaris, for their quality in these groups. And then, you got people that, say they're the best, and you got people that does the same with the Can-Ams and the Hondas. For me, my experience, they're both, the Can-Am and Polaris especially, that's most of what I see and what I ride with. They are probably, they're all hit or miss, I guess you'd say. Everybody has issues with them. 99% of the issues I've seen are carrier bearings and bushings, factory bushings on both. I did a gusset kit on my Can-Am, and I did front bushings at the same time, just because, to be honest, they're a pain to work on. You got to slide the A-arms off and stuff, and you got to take the hood off. I call it the hood, the front fenders, the headlights and stuff like that, which is not a bad job to take off. But on my Polaris, I didn't have to do that. I just took the boltless for the A-arms, after jacking it up, obviously. Took it loose, and there it was. I was at everything. Versus the Can-Am, I have to do that, and then I got to take my front bumper off. Then I got to, slide all that off there to get the bushings out, which is kind of a pain. But did it need bushings? No, probably not. They probably would have been fine. But I had it all apart to do the gusset kit, and I did need at least two bushings in the little pivot. I believe is what it's called. It's just a little metal piece that goes inside the bushings that the bolt goes through. And that was because I've been an A-arm. It was a factory Can-Am A-arm, and I put high lifter ones back on it just because there's high clearance. I was fine with the factory, I guess you would say, strength of the arms, due to the fact that they bend. I would rather bend an arm than bend a frame mount or stud in the Can-Am case. But even the Polaris has that trouble. I bent a factory one on my 900, and I replaced that one with a factory A-arm, and then I ended up going with a super ATV offsets because I wanted a little bit more clearance, so I went to 30-inch tires, which, you know, that's kind of common as far as that is, being in A-arms, factory ones for both. But, you know, I mean, the Polaris dealer is a lot closer for me, you know, circling back around to what I started on. I have a Polaris dealer about 20 miles from me versus the Can-Ams are about an hour for me, roughly. One way is, by the way, on these speculations, my closest Polaris dealer, good dudes. They always, when I go in and I pay, you know, cash or whatever, I didn't have a credit account, they try and help you out on price as much as they could. I understand that they're not the owners, that they can't make those decisions to give me big discounts or whatever. But there's also knowledgeable guys. Every time you walk in there, they'd say, "Hey," and I wasn't on there like every week, or in there, you know, every week basis and such. I'd just be in there every so often. And like I said, they're good dudes. They ride Polaris machines, you know. I just, you know, they were good dudes. Can-Am dealers, the one that I went to the last couple times, I'm not going to name names for various reasons. Obviously, one of them being I'm not going to bash these people. It just ain't no point in it for me. The closest one I've been going to, though, they're the same way as the Polaris guys. They're pretty good guys. They do their best to get to you in time. They've been packed the last 2 times I've been there, and a lot of it, I think, is just people, you know, there are people buying a lot of machines right now with the whole Corona going on, and I think they're pretty well sold out. The Polaris dealer sold out, as far as I know. But I like that better in the sense of them, you know, talking to me like I'm a actual person or such. Understanding that, you know, this guy didn't have to come here to buy my stuff. He could have went somewhere else and bought it or got it online. The one I bought my Can-Am from was not this same dealer. It is about an hour and probably 20 minutes from me, and I like my buying experience there. Any question I had as far as something on the paperwork, they answered it, no hesitation. If I had a question about my machine, it was no hesitation. They're good. They was good dudes as far as buying, but anyways, I'm back onto my thing about the quality and all that. I feel like for most people that just do general trail riding, you're going to be fine with a 64-inch machine, or you know, as far as X3 or a Polaris, like a 1000, a turbo, whatever, 64-inch, you'd probably be fine for the most general people. Granted, they come with a little bit smaller tires, you know. I think that the XPs have 29s. I think the 64-inch X3s come with 28s. You know, obviously most people are going to at least put a 30 on them, and that'll be good. Like I said, if you're not out here running the hills and all that, you know, if you're just out there riding and doing odds and ends, that is what it is. In my area, obviously, you know, and I've been to several parks and all this, the Polaris just runs away with it as far as how many's out there. Now, granted, the Polaris is a little bit, roughly 2, I think, roughly $2,000 difference in them between like a X3, the 120 horsepower, 64-inch, and a 1000 XP, you know, just 2-seater. But I've been seeing more Can-Ams as far as just X3s, and I feel that a lot of that is the, you know, Can-Am sort of it's gaining a better following, I guess you'd say. You know, the new X3s versus the old Mavericks, the ones that use the Commander frames. And it's a lot better machine, and a lot better refined. I do feel like the fit and finish of a Can-Am is better than the fit and finish for most players. You know, as far as not just looking at mine, or you know, just looking at one and then looking at one of the players. That's as far as the several X3s I've been around. Mine, some buddies that have X3s, and been around the player stuff. You know, I own one, like I said. Brother-in-law's got one. Been around several of them, worked on several of each. But I feel like the availability for parts for the Polaris, you know, the 1000 is obviously 10 times, you know, what it is for the X3. And you know, most auto parts store you can get like a carrier bearing or something for a Polaris, probably spark plugs. I put a set in my X3 and I had to go through the dealer exclusively for a set, due to those like special made or special designed, I guess you'd say, for Can-Am motors. You know, I don't know why you want to design something easy, you know, that you just go buy parts. Well, I understand why, but you know what I mean. It'd be easier for the general public to just go to a parts store and order some or get some, instead of you having to spend, I think it was $11, $12 a plug, I think. But you know, as far as problems, both of them have been relatively the same. You know, my X3 to my 900S. You know, my 900S, like I said, I had a better dealer, so that stuff worked out. I haven't had any issue where I had to take my X3 back to the dealer. My Polaris only seen the dealer twice. Other than that, I took care of everything. And one was the recalls for the voltage regulators. I'm sure if you owned a Polaris and those, you know, like, I think it's 15, 16, somewhere through there, had the recalls. It was that, and I had the Fox piggyback shocks on it. That, if you know anything about the Fox shocks, you'll know that the Can-Ams have the same sort of design of how you feel the shock in the piggyback. And it would leak from those, and I had an extended warranty that didn't cover that. So the Polaris, I guess you say the shop manager, he knew a guy that rebuilt them, put the Schrader valves in them, never had any trouble out of them after that. But you know, I'm sure I'll have that trouble in my Can-Am eventually, due to the fact they got the same setup as how you feel. But I mean, I figure for most people, Polaris will do fine. Just like I said, general. The horsepower stuff, I mean, if you're just trail riding, that ain't gonna matter a whole lot. If you're hitting the hills, that's probably gonna matter. One thing on that is the X3 has a longer wheelbase than the 1000, and I believe the turbo too, because I think the turbo runs the same wheelbase. I believe the Turbo S Razor has I think it's 9 inches longer, maybe. Not 100% sure on that, but I think that's a rough guesstimate. I also don't have the Pro XP specs, you know, in my head to know what it is. But you know, there's that. I also have been around the new Kawasaki Krx 1000. It seems to be a well-built machine. I don't know if I would own one personally, just right now anyways, due to them being a first-year machine. From videos I've watched and what I've been around this one, they are performing pretty good out of the box for a first-year machine. You know, granted, I think they're about 200 to 300 pounds heavier than, you know, the run-of-the-mill two-seaters. They look like they're put together fairly nice as far as the fit and finish. Looks like they got, from what I've seen, a pretty good accessory lineup from the factory, along with the aftermarket's already putting out quite a bit of stuff. that I can see, you know, advertised online and all that. Out of the box, I believe they got 31-inch tires. That's a good sized tire, you know. I mean, that means a whole lot versus putting a 29 on there, and everybody's gonna go to a 30 at least anymore. Most people are running 32s, like turbos, the turbo razors, the X3s. Even some people are running 35s. I ran 32s personally on my X3. I ran 30s on the Razor. The 4-seater 1000 I was talking about runs 32s. My buddy's 4-seater Can-Am Maverick X3 runs 35s. He runs it mainly for ground clearance though. But, I mean, pretty solid unit out of the box. It looks like, I mean, I ain't really going to dog any machines as far as I know. The main thing too you want to look at when you buy a new machine is the availability of working on it. You know, I touched on what I've done to mine, the two I had. Differences in having to work on them, mainly because of the difficulty of the things you got to tear down to get the stuff. You know, I worked on like the Can-Am. I worked on the Maverick X3 also. I worked on the 900S. I worked on a regular 1000 XP, 1000 high lifter, the Wildcat Sport, which was a 700. And man, the easiest one to work on, Polaris, you know, just the Razor 1000s in general are easy to work on. My 900 was a little bit tougher, but it was also shorter and not as wide. Granted, you know, that is what it is. But 1000 XP is the easiest machine to work on I've ever worked on in the side-by-side world. Well, you know, the 1000 XP / high lifter, I'll say, because they're pretty close to the same as far as all that stuff. But the Wildcat was probably the toughest. And I mean, it was just thing after thing after thing on it. Like, you try to be taking something apart. And this one I was doing a carrier bearing. Okay, on most Polaris, you can just knock the pin out of the differential on the Polaris, the front diff, and then you can unbolt your carrier bearings and slide your shafts off, and they'll come off in 2 pieces, your shaft wheel. And then you just bring that carrier bearing end out and go on. But on this, you had to take out the diff, you had to take out the A-arms. I only took out one A-arm, I believe. And that was due to getting a differential bolt out, differential mount bolt, I'll say, because the bolt was behind the A-arm tube. So you had to take that A-arm loose, which had a long bolt, you know, like, I believe it was through the whole arm if I remember correctly. And it was just a pain. Definitely worse than my Can-Am. Well, I don't know how difficult it would be on the Kawasaki Krx or like a Honda Talon. What I've looked at them, they look like they're pretty easy to work on too. I would say they're easier than a Can-Am from what I've seen, but maybe not a Polaris. And I haven't seen many of the Talons, you know, up close and personal. I've looked at a couple in the store, not worked on any. And but I'm seeing a popularity for them too growing. They look like solid units. I see guys just driving the wheels off of them here and there. You know, like I said earlier, you see stuff on social media. You see people talking about them. I know I've seen people saying they've had transmission issues and all this and that. But I personally have not seen anyone complain about the transmission issues. I've seen a few people saying they'd like to have their shift points changed a little bit. You know, maybe like it don't shift out as fast. But I know with the videos I've watched on the Jackson turbo kit for them, people are talking about that it changes the shift points when you tune it, and they say they seem to be really good on that. I've not seen a whole lot on those, just, you know, I watched a couple of videos on YouTube about it, and just a couple people here or there in forums. But like I said, if you're looking for a new unit, I would probably look at a 1000 XP or Razor Turbo very heavily if you got one close to you. If not, I would definitely look for a 64-inch Can-Am. The 72 is great, which the 72-inch width, which that's what I got, but it's pretty snug on a lot of trails we ride, and even like a 4-seater Razor can just go through stuff easier than I can. I believe it's a foot longer on mine than on my X3 than on a 1000 XP or whatever. So I would definitely look at the 1000 XP. I don't know enough about the Honda Talon to say you should go buy one of these, or the KRX, but I would say they're very good up-and-comers for the future to look at and see what you think about those. Give them a little bit of time. But if you like my video, subscribe, throw a like down. Anything positive would be appreciated. Thank you guys.